Well, welcome back once more, all my vintage dirt bike loving YouTubers, and thanks again for giving up your valuable time to tune in to my classic dirt bike TV channel. Now in this feature clip we're going to look at a very special CCM machine, and one that was actually put together for a very special reason. So please stay with me for the next few minutes as we check out Austin Clews' 1978 CCM Schoolboy Scrambler. Now the story of this particular bike begins back in the 1970s when Austin Clews, who of course was the son of the late great Alan Clews, was still at school and only 13 years old. Anyhow, the young Austin wanted to try his hand at schoolboy motocross, although the rules of the day were that you could only ride up to a 175cc 2-stroke or a 200cc 4-stroke machine. Now of course at this time Austin's dad was already building some of the best British 4-stroke motocrossers available, although these were all 500cc bikes, and 200cc was of course the ultimate limit for schoolboys. Anyhow, Austin's dad, as you would expect, wanted his son to be racing on one of his own machines, so he came up with the brilliant idea of putting a reduction sleeve into a BSA B25 250 motor to reduce it to the 200cc level. Now after Alan Clews had sorted out the particulars to build the 200cc motor, they then manufactured a brand new Clews frame that was lighter and scaled down with smaller diameter tubing to suit the young Austin's smaller stature. Now the frame was based around the full-size 1978 chassis, but was a very special one-off construction. Now Austin did race this bike for many years, but later the bike was then subsequently sold, and the story goes that the very special 200cc engine was removed from the frame and then thrown into a skip outside the CCM premises, where allegedly it was then removed by persons unknown. Anyhow, sometime later the special frame, complete with this B50 engine in it, was offered for sale and subsequently bought by classic bike racer Ian Ridley, who displayed it here at the 2018 Scottish Classic Motorcycle Show. Now of course this featured engine is not the famous Austin Clews B25 200cc engine. The original engine would have looked something like this, taken from a BSA Starfire, but this would have been very similar to Austin's 200cc motor. Now of course it wasn't long before Austin then found out that his precious schoolboy race bike had resurfaced, and of course negotiations soon started with Ian Ridley to buy back this long lost piece of Austin's history. Now these few pictures and video clips were actually taken just prior to Austin buying his bike back, and as you can see the bike was showing all of its old battle scars from Austin's days out on the racetrack. Now the original buyer of the bike, Ian Ridley, who had the machine on here display at the Scottish Motorcycle Show, was very reluctant to actually sell back the bike to Austin, because Ian knew about the bike's history as well, but eventually Austin did manage to secure the purchase of his old bike, and as you would expect, the old machine brought back some great memories of when he used to race it as a schoolboy. And as you would expect, this bike is very unique, as there is not another one of these CCM specials on the planet. And just to prove that this is Austin's bike, you can just about see the stamp with Austin's name at the bottom of the swing arm when Alan Clews first put this bike together for the young Austin. And though, as I mentioned earlier, the frame was based around a 1978 500 CCM, although the frame diameter and the tubing was very much smaller to make the bike lighter and to suit a very young and enthusiastic 13-year-old schoolboy racer. And although this bike doesn't have the original 200cc engine that Alan put together, someone out there who removed the engine from the dumpster on the day has a very unique piece of history in his possession. Now, of course, remember there was a certain amount of magnesium used on these 1978 CCM machines, with the top and bottom triple clamps cast in magnesium. Now, this bike has already undergone a full restoration by classic bike builder Rod Spry, who has done a full refurbishment of Austin's Schoolboy Scrambler, and we hope to cover that particular video in another posting here on my YouTube channel. But I still think it's excellent just to see Austin's old schoolboy bike in its entirety here, with all its original fixtures and fittings from his schoolboy racing days. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the frame was a very special one-off chassis that was built for this particular bike. And as per the original 1978 500 CCM frames back in the day, these were also chrome plated. And because of the dreaded COVID-19 lockdown, we are still in that particular stage here in Scotland and unable to travel. But as soon as we can, then we will make the trip to see Austin's fully restored schoolboy racer. Now, I'm sure that Austin will be very grateful to Ian Ridley for buying his old machine back again, and subsequently, of course, selling it back to its original owner. But nevertheless, it's still good that we can get a look at this bike in its original condition from 1978, despite, of course, not having the correct 200cc motor in the frame. But we're quite looking forward to seeing Rod Spry sprinkle his magic on this machine and doing a full restoration. Now, of course, it's not the best looking CCM machine at this particular point, but this is still a very unique machine, and of course, once again, part of the CCM history. But at the end of the day, I'm absolutely sure that Austin will be completely delighted to be once again reunited with his old schoolboy CCM race bike. Now, here's a sneaky preview of the bike just soon after the restoration was completed, and we will be doing a follow-up video on this fantastic bike in a future video here on my YouTube channel. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this very short introduction to Austin Clews' 1978 CCM. This video was brought to you in association with VMX Magazine, your #1 publication for classic, vintage and off-road motorcycles. Just visit their online website for more information.